Congressman, so immigration's kind of the big thing of the day. President Biden signing more executive orders. I've lost track, Congressman, how many executive orders he's done. How many weeks has he been president? And how many executive orders has he done?
Well, he's averaging more than 2 executive orders a day.
Wow.
Which is got to be some kind of record for a guy who said governing by executive orders is evidence of a dictatorship. So I guess that's what you're seeing evidence of, right?
Yeah. It's too much. I can't keep track. I know there was 3 today on the immigration and the border. First of all, you were just down there, and sorry I couldn't join you on that. It's so crazy to get down there. But you did a border tour. What can you tell us? What's going on?
Well, Jeff, thanks. Yeah, I took eight congressmen and women and myself to the border to get a feel. So we inspected a lot of places that I've seen many times that didn't have fencing or just had 4-strand barbed wire, had slip knot gates in case people needed to get into our country illegally. They could do it easier. But the president has actually put up a lot of barriers. And in some places down by Nogales, they kept up the old barrier, which is 12-foot fence, and then inside of it, they put up another 30-foot fence. And that makes it a lot more secure and allows time for the agents to get there. The one thing that people need to understand is that for every linear mile of 30-foot fence, for every 2 miles, it only takes 1 Border Patrol agent to
cover that,
to staff that. Yeah,
okay.
But when you don't have that fence there, that the 30-foot fence, even with a 12-foot fence, you're talking it takes between 3 and 5 agents per mile. So it's 8 times more cost-effective on personnel. So anyway, so we saw this. We also saw places where they had not completed. They had gaps. We saw infrastructure that they had put in place and were ready to start with additional fencing. All of that has been stopped completely. We saw yards filled with material that's there just waiting to go be put up in the fence. We saw heavy equipment, all these people that are out of work now.
Yeah.
It's really, and I talked to ranchers and farmers and folks living along the border. And, Jeff, they even some who are fence skeptics have said, yeah, the fence works.
Yeah.
The problem is it funnels people out to other areas, and if we're not going to build additional fencing, that's new areas where people will traffic.
Well, yeah, China learned this thousands of years ago at the Great Wall of China. They had to finish that thing because you could just go around it if you don't finish
right.
it. And what's the feel in D.C.? Because, all those fences went up in D.C. Are those still up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
the fence, so somehow fences must work, Jeff.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. Was if it's good enough for DC, isn't it good enough for a border? I mean, in DC, it keeps us out, I guess, but the border doesn't keep people coming over illegally. I don't. How do they rationalize this? Do they even try? Do they care?
No, they don't rationalize it. They don't care. A lot of these people live in enclaves with fencing around their own enclaves, and here's the deal. If you don't care who comes in, why don't you just leave your front door unlocked and open? I mean,
why have a door?
Yeah, why have a door? The reality is, I'm looking out from where I'm sitting right now in D.C., and I see fencing that wasn't there a month ago, and it's incredible to me that now Washington D.C. has put up this. We've turned into kind of a military compound. And they do that because ostensibly they want to keep people safe on the inside. But the reality is, first of all, I don't think there's much of a threat. But moreover, why aren't you doing the same for national security on our border?
Yeah. I think we know the answer to that, Congressman Biggs. Let me ask you this. Because you mentioned the security issue in D.C., is there legislation percolating right now to make I've heard the word Patriot Act version 2.0 a lot. After 9/11, there was a lot of things put into place. Some justified, a lot I don't think that we're dealing with 20 years later with the Patriot Act. is there a version 2.0 that's happening domestically because of what happened on January 6th at the Capitol? Do you hear that?
I do hear rumors of that, but we haven't. They haven't put that on the front burner yet. They've got other things. I mean, they've got other items to turn the country into a socialist utopia first.
Yeah.
And that's coming. There's talk of it coming. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Real tough issue.
And talking about socialist utopia, how serious? Here I am. I'm sitting in my studio in Flagstaff today, Congressman Biggs, which has a $15 an hour minimum wage as of January. Yesterday, I went out and got a fast food value meal for $11. A friend of mine who owns Timberline Firearms, he got one for $13.50 for one person.
Wow.
And so I'm in Flagstaff, $15. Yeah, right. I mean, fast food is fast food. It's nothing. We're not talking, fine dining here or anything. We're not talking the laundry in San Francisco with Governor Gavin Newsom here, almost the same price. But anyway, $15. And now we're here to talk about this happening nationally. I can tell you, I'm sitting here. I can see the price increases. It's happening. Is this a serious threat with President Biden and the Democrats, this $15 an hour everywhere?
Yes.
Okay.
It's real.
Next topic.
It's real. I mean, and you see it. Look, I mean, people who make a lot of money are now rethinking whether they can eat out as often.
Mm-hmm.
So restaurants which have been hampered because of the COVID, now they're going to be hampered because $15 minimum wage prices them out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, but it causes everything else to go up. So it's so economically nonsensical because, Jeff, you know about this, that if you raise everybody's price to $15 an hour, then somebody who actually has a lot more experience, all of a sudden they're going to go from $15 an hour, they're going to need 18 to 22. And what that does, that causes inflation in everything, from food cost to clothing cost to rent. Everything will cause it to go up because we will all have to deal with higher wage costs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that inflation kicks in. And I was talking with a guest last hour about government inflation versus using the 1980s stats, which puts inflation or 1980s method puts inflation much higher. This would really crank that. Flagstaff would have to be, because it's written in the law, 2+ over any state or federal income tax. Federal wage. So we'd be at 17 here. Arizona would be at, I don't know if Arizona has a bump in there as well, because Arizona's heading to 12. Or where's the Arizona minimum wage? Is that 12 now?
It's right around 12.
Yeah.
And
so that may bump up. That would bump up.
I don't think that they. Well, yeah, because you got to go the federal minimum wage.
Yeah. So you'd have to hit 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right,
is.
Congressman Biggs, let's talk about the stimulus package. Where are we at? I was arguing degrees of socialism here yesterday because Republicans now, I mean, seriously, Republicans are like, well, we should probably only do, I think they were talking 1,000, but correct me if I'm wrong here. And the Democrats were like 1,400. I was like, why bother? If you tell me 1,000 is good, go for 14. If you're telling me 14 is good, go for 3,000. I mean, I don't get this. I don't get the Republican argument for the lower amount. I get it. I don't think there should be any, but let me hear from you.
Well, I'm with you. I don't think there should be any. I have voted against direct payments. I think those are wrong. I think there was a way to do something with a PPP, just some loan to some really distressed businesses that were caused by government interference. But leave that aside. In my opinion, I looked at the group of people that were over there trying to meet with the Biden administration, and they're the same kind of folks that well, let's just put it this way: they're very comfortable with a federal minimum wage. They're the type that are going to be very comfortable with giving direct payments, and all of that stuff is out there. But there should be no direct payments. Look, here's what people don't understand. If you take all of the COVID bailouts that have happened in the last 12 months, we have added trillions and trillions of dollars to our national debt and our structural deficit. And believe me, that comes home to roost So economically, if I can just throw this out there real quickly on an economic note, on a milieu that's existent now, is if you lose our energy independence, which has helped carry us through this recessionary period of the COVID, and we become dependent again, and you've got government leaders like Joe Biden doing that through executive orders and basically annihilating a lot of jobs. And then you have the pressure of inflation on top of that. You have a chance to really wreck this economy in a way where you have to say it would be so negligent that you would wonder, was it done intentionally?
Mm-hmm. You think they're doing that? I mean, to get rid of our energy self-reliance here at a time when, the oil prices were at some of their lowest, we know what's going to happen here. Production's going to go down. Prices are going to go way up. Are they intentionally doing this to push us to the Green New Deal and all the solar projects or whatever alternative energy projects we're looking at? I mean, is the Green New Deal coming as a result of this?
Well, I could tell you that I think the Keystone pipeline was just basically an ignorant response to wanting the Green New Deal, but they've also passed rules in the House to facilitate passage of the Green New Deal and Medicare for All. They've done that in the rules package itself. So yeah, I would say that's a Biden priority, or it's not his priority, it's whoever's handling President Biden.
You think he can do that through executive order? That would have to go through Congress, or do we know anymore? That's got to go through Congress. But my guess is he will push as far as he possibly can to get it through executive order. Okay.
I mean, don't forget that Congress is Nancy Pelosi keeps trying to basically keep Congress from passing any laws right now.
How so? She's just not having you there, virtual? What's that?
Right. She's not having us here.
Okay.
She's canceling days of session. And we end up focusing on, the bills that we're going to deal with this week include, well, they think that Marjorie Taylor Greene said some things she's the new Congresswoman from Georgia. They don't like some of the things she said, but before she was ever even a candidate. So they don't want her to be able to serve on any committee. And that's what Nancy Pelosi's focused on. They want to emasculate the Republican Party here and let Joe Biden rule as a dictator.
Yeah, so the unity thing is obviously out the window with all these executive orders. Is that the deal in D.C. right now, Congressman? Is there even a lot of people there, your colleagues, or are they just virtual? What are you seeing? I mean, do you see AOC, in the hallways? Are you bumping into her? Have you ever met AOC?
No, I've never met her.
No. I think she's scared
I
of
actually
you.
testified on a panel once with her, but no, I've never met her. But right now, Jeff, like I had a committee hearing yesterday. I'm in D.C., but the committee hearing room was locked because they didn't want anybody in there for the hearing. So we were all sitting either in our offices here or on a boat in Utah or something like that, participating by a Zoom call. And our ranking member urged, as did anybody who spoke, that we should be meeting in person. And so there's not a lot of people here, although we're going to vote today. But the Democrats say you don't have to be here to vote.
Don't be there. Yeah, changed world. Hey, one more question. Does the members of Congress get a stimulus check? Or
no.
just curious. Just curious if they okay.
I don't know. Maybe some of them did. I mean, some of them view what we make as paltry, and I view it as extravagant, quite frankly. But no.
No, okay.
I didn't see it.
All right, because I may need a loan for my next value meal, so I was gonna, see if I could hit you up.
Exactly right.
Final thought here before I let you go. Is AOC really running the show there on the Democrats on that side? I know you said you never met her. I know she's had an issue with the Capitol Police or something. It's just some of the statements she makes is bizarre. But then I guess they kind of say that there's someone somewhere probably saying the same thing. Some of the statements that Congressman Biggs makes is just bizarre. But I really think what she says is bizarre. What's going on there with her?
Well, we're not sure. So she has a lot of swag with Nancy Pelosi, I'm led to believe. And I tend to think it's probably true, although Pelosi's pretty skilled at keeping these people in check. But I think AOC probably has some swag there.
Yeah.
But I mean, her latest is she put out a video the other day saying that when she was being evacuated, a police officer came in. He was a white guy. And he was dressed in black, which, by the way, their uniforms are black. And he was yelling, and she felt intimidated and frightened. So she hid in the bathroom, and then her staff came and said it's all safe to go, and then they evacuated. I'm just trying to figure out, number one, is that even true? And number two, why'd you hide in the bathroom while you left your staff there to deal with somebody who you thought might potentially be a danger? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't
get it. But anyway, that's her deal. I mean, it's her deal, and it makes as much sense as virtually anything else I hear from her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is not much.
Which is not much. She should stick to cooking on Instagram. All right, Congressman Biggs. Hey, I appreciate the time as always. Be safe out there.